I'm Susan McGinnis with Clean Skies News. With energy and climate legislation pending in the U.S. and a worldwide global warming agreement hoped for in Copenhagen this year, it's quite a time for energy and therefore for energy journalism. Here with their perspectives on pending legislation and some other stories they're covering and the state of energy journalism are two reporters on the beat. Ayesha Rascoe is a reporter for Reuters and Lerer reports for POLITICO. Thank you both for coming in.
Thanks for having us.
Let me get your perspective first on the climate bill, because all the talk now is something going to pass by the time we go to Copenhagen? If it does or doesn't matter. Lisa, what are you hearing from the people you're talking to in your reporting?
Well, they're pushing hard to get the bill through Congress. The deadline for all the committees to report their work, there's 6 different Senate committees reviewing the legislation, was pushed back by 10 days, which some folks interpreted as a sign that things weren't going exactly as planned. And of course, Congress is really overwhelmed right now. They have a lot on their plate. They have Sotomayor, Supreme Court nomination. They have health care. So it's not exactly clear whether this will get done by the fall, which is when Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid wants it to happen. But I know they're working really hard.
Well, what are you hearing, Ayesha? I mean, I guess the talk now is, if there is nothing in December, is that okay?
Well, from the people that I'm talking to, it is okay, because they're trying to show that the U.S. is making progress, and by having the House pass their climate bill, and if the Senate is able to make significant progress, as long as they can show that we are working towards a goal, it's a good thing. And also, it would allow the negotiators at Copenhagen to have a little more wiggle room if we don't have something set in stone.
Are you guessing, Lisa, that if something does get passed through both houses, that it will be even more watered down, even more compromises will enter this? Because we've got like longtime environmental allies now divided among themselves over Waxman-Markey.
And that's exactly that's part of what the holdup is in the Senate right now, is they're trying to strike this balance between keeping the environmental groups on board, which is really important from a political standpoint, because those are the groups with the manpower and the fundraising, to help members who vote for this legislation keep their seats during the midterm and next round of presidential elections. But at the same time, you have to keep industry on board. Yeah. So right now, Senate leaders like Barbara Boxer, John Kerry are trying to strike that balance and find, the middle ground there of keeping industry on board and keeping the environmental groups.
I mean, what are the top issues that you're hearing about in your reporting, Ayesha? Is it the coal states? Is it the renewable electricity standard?
Well, it's all of those things. I mean, the coal states are definitely going to have a problem with those moderate Democrats from coal and heavy industrial states. They're going to have a problem, defending this vote if they vote for this bill, because the thought is that this would move away from coal, and until you have that clean coal technology, the coal is going to have some issues. So that is definitely that. It's also the RES. Is the RES too high? Senators from southern states will definitely have an issue with that, because they say they don't have the wind and the solar power that other states do, and so they feel like they would be at a disadvantage. So you're definitely going to have all those regional issues coming into play.
Right. Now, you guys have been on the energy beat. Tell me, Lisa, about being an energy reporter at such a time as this, watching energy, come to the forefront and really move into sort of mainstream journalism, and sort of your perspective on as that happens. How is general journalism handling this? Do you think they're accurate and complete and thorough?
Well, our focus is, of course, on the politics, being from POLITICO. So my sense is that they are being really accurate and complete and thorough. And it's certainly a really exciting time to be on this beat. And if you're someone who loves politics, you have it all here. And it's a really interesting issue from a political standpoint, because it's all regional. So a lot of the traditional partisan divides don't apply here. And so you get to learn all about different energy sources all over the country and see how, in the end, these lawmakers, senators, congressmen really go back to their parochial interests.
Right. I mean, do you think the general public, Ayesha, is getting, some of the more complex issues? Like, I mean, do you hear cap and trade among, general circles?
I think that's part of the problem with the Democrats now, as they push cap and trade, is that you have an issue like healthcare. Everyone knows what healthcare is. Cap and trade, I mean, polls have come out. People don't really know what cap and trade is, or why it's important, or how it will affect them. So I think that the Democrats and supporters of cap and trade have a long way to go before they have the general population really in their corner, or really even understanding what it is they're trying to do. They have a lot of education that they need to do.
Would you call this current legislation and the road to Copenhagen the story of the year? I mean, what are you most passionate about in your coverage?
I think climate change is definitely, as far as energy goes, it is the story of the year, because if we do make significant progress, if they are able to pass something, that would change the way energy is produced, and I mean that would affect every facet of energy production and in this country. So I mean, there's no way that can't be the top story.
Absolutely, it would change everything. I mean, Lisa, what are you looking most forward to covering on energy in the future?
Well, I really am interested in seeing how this affects the economy, and whether the jobs that the Democrats are promising really come to fruition, how many jobs there are, what those look like, how this impacts industry. I think will be really interesting, because as Ayesha pointed out, this is going to affect every sector of the economy, from automobiles to manufacturing to power. So it's really going to restructure how America does business. Right,
definitely. All right, well, we will be following reports from both of you, Ayesha Rascoe with Reuters and Lerer with Politico. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thanks.
And I'm Susan McGinnis with Clean Skies News.